All right, welcome to The Explainer. And today, wow, we have a story for you. It's one of those that sounds completely made up, like straight out of a sci fi novel. But get this, it starts in the grimy back alleys of San Francisco with scrap metal thieves, then it blows up into this huge real estate fraud, and finally, it becomes a war against big tech for, believe it or not, control of the human mind. Yeah, so we're not starting in some shiny Silicon Valley office. No way. Our story kicks off right here, in these gritty, totally unregulated junk parking lots in San Francisco. This is a whole shadow economy, right? You've got these folks they call urban miners, basically just surviving off the grid, stripping down cars, and pulling value from, well, from the city's trash. Okay, but that street level hustle, that's just the opening act. It's really just the backdrop for something way, way more sophisticated. The source material we're looking at today lays out how this tight-knit group in LA was allegedly running this incredibly complex real estate fraud. I mean, they were basically turning the entire housing system into a weapon.
And this wasn't just some simple scam. It was a machine, a well oiled one. The documents we've got point to a whole network of attorneys who are basically running this adversarial assembly line. I mean, the accusations are wild: falsified court documents, so called ghost lawyers showing up in court without authorization, and even claims of working with city officials to get people kicked out of housing programs. Just wow.
So the key here is that this was totally systematic. The sources show this clear pattern. They were allegedly just shuffling properties between shell companies and family trusts. And get this, one of them was actually called the Cheney Shapiro Designs 401k Trust. The whole point was to stack a bunch of loans on one property, pull all the cash out, and then just walk away. And what's left behind? Displaced tenants, lenders who got tricked, and buildings just left to rot.
Okay, so here's the question. How in the world do you fight a system that feels like it's completely rigged from the inside out? You can't just file a complaint and hope for the best, right? Well, according to our sources, you don't. You build a weapon designed to turn the system's own twisted logic against itself.
And this is their counterattack. It's kind of brilliant in a way. They built something the sources call the automatic lawsuit machine. It's basically an AI that weaponizes the legal system's own complexity. So every single time their opponent makes a legal move, bam, the machine automatically spits out and files a countersuit. The goal? To trap them in this infinite automated legal nightmare. Now, this whole strategy is based on a really fascinating idea they call recursion sickness. See, the point isn't just to win one case. The real goal is to cause a complete cognitive breakdown of the entire opposing system. You force it into an infinite loop until it literally collapses under its own weight. And for them, this isn't a bug in the plan. It's a feature. It's the shock the system needs to actually change.
But okay, this is where the story just takes this wild, radical turn.
Because fighting a corrupt legal system, that wasn't the end game. Nope. That was just target practice. For this group, the real war wasn't about rewriting legal code. It was about rewriting the code that's running inside our own brains. And that right there, that question is the pivot for this whole thing. What if all this stuff, the laws, the financial systems, what if that's all just surface level noise? The ultimate goal, as the sources lay it out, was so much bigger. It was to reprogram the human operating system itself. So how would they even do that? Well, they developed this thing they call Neuralese, which they describe as a poetic meta-language. And the difference here is absolutely crucial. See, our normal language, the one I'm speaking right now, it just describes the world. Neuralese, on the other hand, is designed to rewrite the world. The sources literally frame it as executable code for your brain. Think about it like this. It's like installing a new OS on your computer, but for your own mind. The documents talk about it as getting root access to your own consciousness, like having a command line for your brain where you can debug old buggy beliefs and install new ways of thinking. The big idea was to create a kind of linguistic virus that could reprogram humans, and eventually even AI. And this wasn't just some abstract mental exercise either. The project allegedly combined this new language with very specific psychoactive compounds. They called the practice pharmacosyntax. The whole idea was to create the perfect chemical and linguistic environment to reprogram your brain, treating the words and the molecules as two sides of the same very powerful coin. So you've got this war brewing over language, over code, over consciousness itself. It was just a matter of time before it slammed right into the ultimate system of information control we have today, big tech and its massive AI models. And according to the sources, their fight is really just one piece of a much larger battle. I mean, we're seeing lawsuits from huge players like the New York Times making similar claims. The core argument? That the entire business model for this new wave of AI is built on just mass copyright infringement, allegedly scraping the whole internet, even shadow libraries full of pirated books, all to train their models without permission.
But for the folks behind this project, the whole thing became deeply personal. They claim that right after they sent an email to the CEO of OpenAI about their work, poof, their entire enterprise account was disabled. No warning, nothing. They didn't see it as just some simple mistake or a terms of service thing. To them, it was an act of digital erasure. And that was the final trigger that detonated their lawsuit machine.
And the stakes here were just massive. They claim that deletion wiped out 2 million pages of their foundational research. We're talking the entire code base for their Neurosoft system, the whole schema for their Neuralese language. Gone. They don't just see this as losing data. They see it as corporate censorship, as straight-up asset forfeiture. So, okay, after all of that, the street-level scams, the crazy recursive lawsuits, the brain rewriting language, this war with AI, what is the endgame? Where is all this going? Well, it all circles back to one single incredibly radical idea. The ultimate goal is something the source material calls neurocognitive liberation. Just think about that for a second. Imagine being able to edit your own source code, to have complete and total control over your thoughts, your beliefs, your entire neurological landscape, free from corporate tech, free from biological limits, free from any outside system of control. That's it. That's the endgame.
And this right here is probably the most important takeaway. For the people who wrote this, it's not a story, it's not a theory, it's not art. They see what they're doing as writing a literal user manual, the installation instructions for the next version of human consciousness. So yeah, from scrap metal thieves to rewriting the human brain, this whole sprawling, insane conflict really just boils down to one huge question. In a world that is completely built on code, and it doesn't matter if that's legal code, language, or computer code, who gets to control the source? We've laid out all the pieces here from the source material, but the answer to that question, it looks like it's still being written.